One of the three sicarios is in a forest at night, in a deep hole. He's been buried and partially covered with branches and debris. There is also a tire around his head. He can't move at all. He can only stare in terror as his rival sicarios are getting ready to take his life. And he knows it's not going to go fast. One sicario pours liquid all over his face and in the hole he's buried in. His last look at the camera is gut-wrenching. You can almost feel his fear. Then, a sicario drops a lit match in the hole and retreats to his group, casually chatting with his fellow sicarios as if they'd done nothing wrong. When El Chapo was arrested in 2016, the world rejoiced. Perhaps the shocking brutality of the Sinaloa cartel would come to an end. It didn't. Then, his son Ovidio was arrested.
Pase, por favor. Vayan los tres. Tranquilo. Aquí, señor. Tranquilo. Listo.
Although both his arrests resulted in massacres, his second one saw him extradited to the States to face the same fate as his father. Once again, people hoped the Sinaloa cartel would come to an end. It didn't. As of 2024, the Sinaloa...
Why do y'all think... FBI, open up! Just because the police arrest somebody that the crime is never going to really stop unless y'all like really try to, like, you get what I'm saying though? But honestly, gang, gonna do what they want to do. It's 8 billion people in the world. This cartel make $1 trillion a day. If you think somebody ain't gonna come take them over, you delulu.
The cartel is more powerful than ever, and the latest confessions from Damaso Lopez Serrano prove that the remaining Los Chapitos are even more brutal than their father.
Oh, that's it. That's all El Chapo kids? I didn't even know they was tweaking like that.
Damaso Lopez Serrano is known as Mini Lick, and up to recently, he was a crucial part of the notorious Sinaloa cartel. He was born in Sinaloa in 1987 to Damaso Lopez Nunez. Nunez was a prison guard in Altiplano prison around the time El Chapo made his first escape in 2001. In fact, Nunez was one of the guys who orchestrated his escape after El Chapo bribed a total of $2.5 million to 78 people. El Chapo remembered Nunez's loyalty and he invited him into the Sinaloa ranks. This was happening as Chapo's cartel was growing at an unprecedented rate, and at the same time, in the early 2000s, El Chapo started grooming his sons to be ruthless kill machines like him. Sadly, cartels tend to be family businesses, and the eldest sons rarely escape their fate as sicarios or drug lords. And as El Chapo was grooming Los Chapitos, so was Nunez. Mini Leak started working for the Sinaloa cartel as a teenager, and it wasn't long before El Chapo noticed his extra ruthlessness as well as business savvy. For a while, it seemed like a perfect match. Mini Lick was around the same age as Los Chapitos, and he could work closely with them to establish new smuggling routes and ensure control of their territories, fighting off rival cartels. But after El Chapo's arrest in 2016, things took a turn for the worse. In 2017, Chapo was finally extradited to the United States. He'd escaped prison in Mexico twice, and the US had been pressing the Mexican government to do the right thing once and for all. From the state's highest security federal prison, Chapo could not escape, no matter how much he promised to bribe the guards or warden. His face...
I ain't gonna lie though, as much money as he got access to, I feel like if he really wanted to get out, I feel like he could. I ain't gonna lie. These built a tunnel with lights and water and to get him out of prison. I think it's somebody in Mexico right now that is willing to get on the jet and go. I think it's 1,000 of these. I think he could have an army. This could be some real Call of Duty mission, prison escape type. He could have 2, 5, 10,000 on a plane, drop their ass off at the prison, and I think they could. I think, bro, I ain't gonna lie though. I think that they will get out, and if they didn't break him out, they would. A lot of lives would be lost, and they'd put up a hell of a fight, boy. But I think if he really wanted to get out, I think he could. I just think the only problem is getting all his soldiers from Mexico to the U.S. legally so they could do it and shit. But man,
after landing in New York, says it all. He knew he would not get out of this one. And if El Chapo knew, so did his sons and all his collaborators. And you know what happens when a cartel leader is removed? That's right, a feeding frenzy. Everyone is trying to fill in their position, even if that means unaliving former friends. Now, Minnie Leak and his dad
Uh-oh.
were no longer besties with Los Chapitos. They were fighting to climb the ranks and establish themselves as main figures within the Sinaloa cartel.
I think Los Chapitos mean like the sons of El Chapo or something like that.
In May 2017, Nunez was arrested on a long list of charges, including money laundering, smuggling, and violent crimes. His son knew he had to act fast. In July of that year, Minnie Lick handed himself to the authorities in Calexico, the Mexican town in California. This was huge, both to the authorities and the Sinaloa. Minnie Lick remains the highest-ranking Mexican cartel leader to hand himself in to U.S. authorities. Instead of controlling the Sinaloa cartel from the inside, Minnie Lick chose to control it from the outside. By striking a deal with the DEA, Minnie Lick revealed all his secrets and helped arrest and extradite oodles of high-ranking Sinaloa cartel members. And before you ask, yep, one of those is Ovidio Guzman Lopez.
That's El Chapo's son.
Pase, por favor, pase, por favor. Vamos los tres. Tranquilo. Aquí, señor. Tranquilo. Listo. ¿Traes armas?
This shit's scary.
By
Mexicans, that
2017,
shit's scary to
when
me.
Minnie Lick was in custody, Los Chapitos had gained notoriety as the new leaders of the Sinaloa.
Judy, they are known as Los Chapitos, the four most trusted sons of the world's most notorious drug kingpin. As the I-Team has reported for several years, federal drug investigators here in Chicago consider El Chapo's sons in charge of the Sinaloa cartel that remains this area's largest trafficker of heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamines.
It was also clear they were at least just as brutal as their father.
They now say this drug lord, nicknamed the Mouse, has ordered the murders of informants, a rival drug trafficker, and a popular Mexican singer who refused to perform at his wedding.
Yeah.
They smoked a popular singer for refusing to perform at his wedding? I want to put y'all on to some of the easiest money you'll ever make in your life. Freecash.com is a website that allows you to literally get paid hundreds of dollars just for playing video games on your phone. All you need is an email and a password. Follow the directions on each of the campaigns and you can earn at least $100. My personal favorite game to play was Sunrise Island, and when I clicked on it, they had a $370 bonus. I got $370 just for playing the video game on my phone. On average, it only takes about 17 minutes for most people to start earning money on freecash.com. So if you need some free, easy, extra money, go to freecash.com, click the QR code right here, or go in the description below and start getting that bag. You did? That's crazy. And we think we over here in the US, the motherfuckers over here thinking they gangster. Okay.
That's one of the things
This is
Ovidio
some crazy
did. Cartel leaders tend to have very fragile egos. They can only stand to have the last word and final decision. They're not used to hearing no. Experience has taught them that they can just bribe or unalive anyone who does. And El Chapo taught his sons to be just like him. As young adults, they were already behaving in a very similar way, and the DEA had gathered a long list of reasons to arrest them, ASAP. In July 2019, El Chapo was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole at the ADX Florence in Colorado. 3 months later, the DEA started a huge operation together with the Mexican military to arrest two Chapitos, Ovidio and Ivan. On October 17th, the Mexican authorities localized both brothers. At around 3 a.m., they went after Ivan, but Ivan had men infiltrated everywhere, including the Mexican army. So he learned what was about to go down. He escaped and rallied up his own army. Hundreds of sicarios armed much like the SWAT team trying to arrest them. In the early hours of the morning, the military surrounded Ovidio's house. Initially, Ovidio started shooting at the officers. He didn't realize he was heavily outnumbered. When he decided he would probably die in the fire if he continued, he exited his house with his hands up. But news of his arrest traveled fast. Within moments, Ivan's Sicario army and thousands other Sinaloa soldiers descended upon the Mexican military, raining on pretty much anyone in their eyesight. Shockingly enough, Ovidio tried to put an end to the massacre.
¿Cuánto tienes gente adentro?
No, no tengo, son mis hijas.
Que paren, diles que paren todo.
Ya.
No veo más. Ya no alcanzo a ver más.
Do you understand how crazy this shit is, man? They at war with the Mexican military. This is the army. And they going to war and like actually putting up a fight.
Pero ya dígale, pues ya no quiero que, ya no quiero que haya desmadre.
Hey, Ovidio, páralo.
Hey, ya no quiero que haya desmadre, por favor.
However, it's unclear whether he meant this or he just said it for the camera in case he got arrested. In any case, his statement was irrelevant. It was already an all-out war. The Sicarios released cartel prisoners, set fire to cars to block important roads, and invaded the local airport. Trade and travel were completely stopped in the Sinaloa region for the rest of the day. 7 officers and 1 civilian were unalived, and the surviving civilians were instructed to hide in their homes.
That shit is
The cartel
crazy, bro. Imagine you can't even go to the grocery store because the local drug dealers was at war with the local military. And they infiltrated the airport, so you can't even go nowhere. You can't even go on the road. You can't even drive. You can't even walk down the street. What the f?
were imposing a
I'm
curfew on the
scared.
town until Ovidio was released. To the dismay of many, the Sinaloa's plan worked.
Violence
let 'em go?
paralyzed the streets of a
They damn
Mexican
had
city
to.
yesterday as security forces traded gunfire with heavily armed members of a drug cartel. The son of the notorious drug kingpin El Chapo was taken into custody, then let
Let him
go.
go. The war
President
wasn't gonna
Andres
stop.
Manuel Lopez Obrador ordered Ovidio's immediate release to prevent further loss of life. This sends the wrong message, that the authorities are easily intimidated and the
Easily?
cartel is in control.
Easily? These is at the airport. They infiltrated the airport. We ain't never seen no shit like that in the USA, gang. Listen to me right here, boy. I wouldn't even know what to do. What the f I'm supposed to do? They got more guns, more people, more money. These is richer than the whole country put together. The government don't even got as much money as these. They got more guns, more grenades, more explosives, more soldiers, more money, more helicopters, more rockets. Like, I'm cool, twin. Hey, listen. What you want me to do? Let them out? No problem.
Falco Ernst, senior analyst for the International Crisis Group in Mexico, said the release of Ovidio Guzman set a dangerous precedent and sent a message that the state itself, including the army, could be blackmailed and was not in control. President Obrador explained his decision.
Esta decisión se tomó para proteger a los
Right.
ciudadanos.
Shit.
Es que no se puede apagar el fuego con el fuego. Esa es la diferencia de esta estrategia con relación a lo que han hecho los anteriores gobiernos. Nosotros no queremos muertos.
And
No
at the end of the
queremos
day, you gonna lock the up. He gonna get locked up. They still gonna keep selling drugs. They still gonna keep shooting. They still gonna keep trafficking, getting drugs to the U.S. It's not going to stop. You see what I'm saying? It's probably gonna get a little bit worse. So it's like you between a rock and a hard place. Either let him go and stop the war, or keep him. The war will keep going. More people will keep dying, and drugs gonna keep getting sold. Like, it's kind of, I ain't gonna say just sit around and let it happen, but it's kind of like, what the f you finna do for real? You know?
However, by January 2023, the president had changed his mind. Around sunrise on January 5th, a SWAT team raided Ovidio's house after he threw a massive party. They knew his soldiers would be too drunk or tired to fight back, and the few soldiers who were awake and guarding his house did not look at the sky, so they did not see the SWAT helicopter descending straight into their yard.
Damn.
By the time they heard its loud engine, it was too late.
Yeah.
Ovidio was picked up and flown to the nearest prison, awaiting extradition. Once again, this resulted in a
massacre.
29 people lost their lives in under an hour.
Realizaron disparos con
These criminal organizations shot with weapons at aircraft from the Mexican Air Force
That's
and
crazy,
from
bro.
commercial airlines, and at the international Culiacan airport facilities. Nevertheless, they did not achieve their goal of rescuing the alleged offender because we neutralized him.
al presunto delincuente.
But this time, President Obrador stood by his decision.
The Mexican president has defended the military operation that captured a drug cartel leader, Ovidio Guzman, the son of jailed drug trafficker El Chapo. Violence erupted in Culiacan, a stronghold of the cartel. At least 19 members of the Sinaloa cartel and 10 members of the military were killed.
De vidas.
We regret the loss of lives of those who died while carrying out their jobs. we also regret other losses.
Minnie Lick was behind both operations, providing the DEA with key info about Los Chapitos while they figured out the best ways to proceed.
snitched?
You see,
That was
Minnie
stupid.
Lick only served 5 years. Considering his long list of heinous crimes, he could have easily been in a U.S. prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
This just goes to show how valuable he was to the DEA. And it turns out
that's probably why he turned himself in. He like, shit, I'm finna go snitch. I'm with you, bro.
it was his own father who advised him to turn himself in. Once Nunez was arrested, he knew his son wouldn't be safe from Los Chapitos. Back in 2016, they'd orchestrated the kidnapping of Ivan and some of his friends at his birthday party. At the time, El Chapo was still in a Mexico prison, awaiting extradition. He negotiated his son's release and suggested the Sinaloa cartel be split into a faction ruled by Los Chapitos and another faction led by Minnie Lick and Nunez. But Minnie Lick knew that as soon as it was possible, Los Chapitos would exercise the worst kind of revenge on the two of them. And even after his prison release, Minnie Lick would have to stay far away from Mexico and pretty much any area the Sinaloa had infiltrated with their soldiers.
I would have moved my ass to Africa.
Minnie Lick has made it his life goal to leave the life of crime behind.
He's smart.
Whether for his own safety or from a desire to make up for all the bad he's done, it's unclear. Nevertheless,
Both crimes,
today,
shit.
Serrano Jr. is working as a security analyst. He is also under witness protection and is a target of constant threats from Los Chapitos. In late 2023, he gave an exclusive interview to Anabel Hernandez, one of the most prominent journalists in Mexico, bravely fighting against cartels and corruption for many years.
Shout out to y'all. My ass would be in the house. I ain't fighting against these motherfuckers.
Oportunidad consiguió una exclusiva con el Minilic. Anabel Hernández, buenas noches. Qué gusto, querida Anabel.
¿Qué tal, Elisa? Querida Elisa, buenas noches y buenas noches al auditorio.
Annabelle said that Minnie Lick confirmed the well-known facts about corruption in Mexico. If it wasn't for corruption, none of these cartels would thrive. Los
Hell
Chapitos
no.
still have people on their payroll everywhere.
But it's
in
too
law
much
enforcement,
money, gang. Like, let me look up this shit real quick. How much money does El Chapo make a day? It's estimated that he generated billions every year. His criminal organization, the Sinaloa Cartel, trafficked vast quantities of narcotics primarily to the U.S. The $12.6 billion forfeiture ordered in his case offers a glimpse into the scale of his illicit wealth. They ordered this to pay $12.6 billion, bro. It's impossible for you to be making that much money and not have control. Anybody, like, it's who's going to be a part of the army or the Mexican police or the government? And I'm surprised they actually paying them and just, I'm surprised they're not just walking in the government office with their guns out like, listen, man, let these people go. We're going to smoke you right now. What's up? Because I'll be like, shit, let them out. Let them free. Don't smoke me, please. Let them free. Let them free. But they actually walking up to the government, to the military, to all these people and giving them money. He gave $2.8 million just to get out of prison, gang. And that was some chump change to him. So what officer you gonna walk up to him and say, hey, I got $5 million for you right now. I need you to do this, that. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's hard, bro. What you supposed
the government
to do?
and every courthouse in Mexico. That way, their crimes are protected and their men are never arrested for long. Minnie Lick also revealed that Los Chapitos are just as bad as El Chapo, if not worse. This went hand in hand with the horrific witness testimonies told during Ovidio's trial last year. According to his former guards and sicarios, Ovidio and his brothers took pleasure in personally inflicting unimaginable pain to their enemies. Once information was obtained by these captives, typically through torture, these individuals were killed, either by or at the direction of the Chapitos themselves, and the bodies disposed of throughout the area. While many of these victims were shot, others were fed dead or alive to tigers. Indeed, Ivan and Alfredo own tigers, and it's safe to say they're not kept in ideal conditions either. As to the rivals they snatch, well, they meet fates worse than death. Death comes as mercy to these poor people. In 2017, 2 of El Chapo's sons kidnapped and unalived 2 Mexican federal police officers. The testimony was truly shocking. For approximately 2 hours, members of the Ninis tortured victim 5 by inserting a corkscrew into victim 5's muscles, ripping it out of his muscles, and placing hot chilies in his open wounds and nose, before being shot dead by Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar. The victim and his fellow slain officer were then dumped near a motel off of a highway near the ranch. Apparently, Los Chapitos' favorite torture methods include electrocution and waterboarding, and they do this to anyone: rival sicarios, police officers, and people who fail to pay debts. And to make matters worse, sometimes Los Chapitos test out the potency of their on their prisoners. DEA Chief Ann Milgram said, "Death and destruction are central to their whole operation. The Sinaloa Cartel is a network that fuels violence and death on both sides of the border." The thing is, Los Chapitos don't seem discouraged by Ovidio's arrest or Mini Lick's interviews. In 2024, they released one of their worst videos yet.
They recorded it and released a
The video begins with 3 men smiling and waving at the camera. They seem to be having fun and recording for social media. They also sing along to a song called I'll Loosen. It's got one of those hip-hop style lyrics where a man is bragging about his wealth and claims he can have any woman he likes as a result of this, as if women are men's property. But this video doesn't end with the 3 sicarios on top. In fact, Los Chapitos used this part of the video to mock the men. It was a sort of before and after formula. First, here's the men having fun. Then, look at them now. The video shows the word después, or after, then skips to a short clip worthy of the worst horror movies. One of the 3 sicarios is in a forest at night, in a deep hole. He's been buried and partially covered with branches and debris. There is also a tire around his head. He can't move at all. He can only stare in terror as his rival sicarios are getting ready to take his life. And he knows it's not going to go fast. One sicario pours liquid all over his face and in the hole he's buried in. His last look at the camera is gut-wrenching. You can almost feel his fear. Then, a sicario drops a lit match in the hole and retreats to his group, casually chatting with his fellow sicarios as if they'd done nothing wrong. First, a crackling noise is heard. Then, a piercing scream through the night, covering the sicarios' chatter. The screams get worse and worse until they get quieter. Then, there is a raspy exhale. Then, there is nothing. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Many of the horrors Los Chapitos commit aren't even recorded or reported. When a cartel releases one of these horrific videos, it's to send a message to other cartels. Don't mess with us. This is what happens if you do. Of course, the message is also to anyone thinking of crossing them.
Let me just go ahead and put this out. If you want me to stop reacting to these videos, listen, just email, DM, whatever it is you want to do. You see what I'm saying? Because
people like Mini Lick included. It's a way of showing they are in control. Even if El Chapo was arrested, and even if Ovidio was arrested, they are still Mexico's most powerful cartel, and they will stop at nothing to maintain their reign of terror. Many people thought of El Chapo as the Sinaloa cartel mastermind. Remove him, and the whole cartel crumbles, they argued. But they couldn't be more wrong. Since their father's arrest, Los Chapitos have grown the Sinaloa to new peaks. For starters, Los Chapitos started a profitable collaboration with the Chinese triads and delved deeper into the trade, which is ravaging the US. Through the triads, the Sinaloa cartel ensures a steady supply of chemicals needed to produce and methamphetamine.
We're going undercover. We've managed to infiltrate the Chinese mafia who are operating here in Mexico City.
That's crazy.
They work very, very closely with the drug cartels.
To keep a giant cartel running, you have to think of all the angles, business opportunities, and potential dangers. And Los Chapitos realized they had to make friends around the world to stay at their most powerful. Meanwhile, millions of people are losing their lives to the destructive substances they smuggle.
Fentanyl is killing everybody. You're gonna die.
O sea, hacen una vaca de los narcotraficantes aquí en Sinaloa, ofrecen un billete, juntan para tanto, ¿sabe qué? Va a llegar tanto día, tal día. Por eso es muchísimo el dinero que viene. Entonces, a lo que tengo entendido, venían 50 kilos de fentanyl ahí para distribuirlo todo el estado de Sinaloa.
Business savvy as they are, Los Chapitos are are molding around the market needs, so it's no longer the white powder and pot provided by their dad 3 decades ago.
It's like, okay, so what the U.S. market like? They like their avocados from Mexico and their meth from Mexico.
One of the latest demands on the market is, and it's the most destructive narcotic yet. Around 1% of users will die. This number is huge.
It doesn't last long, so you're sick again. Like, when you can do in the morning and you can be all good till tomorrow, like, you can withdraw like 3 times a day.
Has an even faster, harsher withdrawal
that's why
than other
is all the way on it like
substances. And even though it can result in death with every little dose, users feel an unspeakable urge to keep using. This just goes to show the cruelty and lack of empathy Los Chapitos have. They are no wiser than El Chapo.
So we are somewhere deep in the state of Sinaloa here in Mexico, and we're just walking up to what we believe is a lab where Sinaloa cartel members are mixing the drugs that are made here are then going to go straight to the US, which is feeding the opioid crisis right now.
The DEA and the Mexican government haven't stopped fighting the cartels. The Mexican military is constantly raiding forests in hope of arresting sicarios and seizing huge labs and operations. But Los Chapitos continue to infiltrate every institution and keep high-ranking officials on their payroll. That way, they are less likely to get caught. Either the officials protect them, or they let them know when a raid is about to happen. Just like it happened when Ivan evaded arrest in October 2019. It's hard to see an end in sight, even with people like Mini Lick leaving crime behind and helping arrest Sinaloa kingpins. Los Chapitos have people everywhere, and the profits are so huge, they see no point in ever stopping.
Man, this here was just insane.